Well, it helps to unmute the mic. Hopefully you guys are still hanging around and listening to what I've got to say here. This is a very solemn segment that we're running across all the platforms here. This should be streaming live on the Retro Cult Home Video channel, the Schlockaholics channel, the Schlockaholics Facebook page, and I believe my personal Facebook page, because I owe you guys some explanations and some apologies before we turn the page into a new chapter of content creation here and just having good times, making good memories. So essentially, any of you guys that have been following the various projects I'm involved in for a while know that we've been on hiatus off and on for really like the last 6 months. A couple of months before the tail end of last year, then we came back for about a month and a half, and then we went on hiatus again and have been there ever since. And that's of no fault to Cody or Brandon or any of my co-hosts. You know, I want to extend a heartfelt apology to both those guys, to Jester Mikey, to Mason Egan, even to Bobby Heckman and Chris Seaver. You know, those are two people that I definitely had planned on doing a lot of stuff with that kind of fell by the wayside over the course of the last year. And I would like to, you know, sort of tell my side of the story and clear the air before we move forward and hopefully rekindle a lot of those projects. So essentially what's been going on is my life's been kind of a mess since the start of the pandemic. All right. Really, you know, as far as the channels go, only the stuff from the last year is like super relevant. But to understand that, you kind of have to understand the course of the last 4 or 5 years or so. Now, beginning of the pandemic, I ended a 4-year relationship on, you know, not bad terms, but not the best of terms. I had all of my pets die, both dogs and my cat, just dead, like immediately within about a month of each other. My uncle died. He passed away from colon cancer. And my cousin Trish committed suicide. That kicked off the pandemic for me. To round it all out with just a bunch of warm and fuzzies, my kid's mom got horribly addicted to fentanyl, essentially leaving me to be a single parent of a now 13-year-old kid who has no clue where her mom is in the entire world. This is the backdrop to the last year or so of my life, year and a half, 2 years roundabouts. So, you know, I spent a couple of years pretty depressed about all of that stuff, dealing with the pandemic on top of it. And then, you know, wouldn't you know it, as soon as I came out of all of that, I got invited to be part of a podcast that ended up going to shit, largely on account of a co-host who was having some personal issues of his own. I'm not trying to slag him off. You know, he was struggling with some, like an even worse drinking problem than mine and just going through some stuff. And for whatever reason, I became the target of that stuff at the time and was, you know, summarily ousted from the podcast. I have it on good authority from many people that have participated in said podcast and been a part of it since that was a bad decision, you know, but it really kind of fucked me up and put me into a bit of a tailspin. One that I didn't quite come out of until we founded Schlockaholics. It gave me that thing to focus on. You know, it kind of recentered me and made me focus on my hobbies again and not all the depressing shit that I had going on in life. And it kind of cleansed the palate, if you will. And things were good. You know, not only good, they were great. We covered way more ground with that show than I ever expected to in the first like year of its existence. We got interviews I never expected to. We bumped elbows with people that we had no business bumping elbows with. And it was overall a monumentally good time. For whatever reason, that gave me the, you know, the wild hair up my ass to try and better my life in other ways. So I went out and I ended up entering into a relationship with a girl that I had known since childhood. We were good friends back in the day. Sort of dated briefly as a puppy love, kind of a junior high school girlfriend sort of a thing. Lost contact around midway through high school and had not talked until this past year. I entered into this relationship fully committed to it, you know, thinking that this was my chance to build a future for me and my kid. One that included a mother figure, one that included, you know, somebody that was my partner in life. And it just didn't work out that way. Nothing about this segment is me trying to slag her off either. I will always be deeply in love with her. But you can be deeply in love with somebody who's not good for you in any way, shape, or form. And that was the case here. Pretty much, as all of that, I was coming out of all of that and going into this new chapter of my life with this new relationship. I thought everything was cool, but pretty quickly it turned into everything I did was kind of annoying. Like it started slowly. I didn't realize how insidious it was at first. With her sort of talking a little bit of shit about the fact that I almost never talked about anything other than movies, which was fair. So I adjusted that, right? But then, it just became every other little thing, right? And slowly but surely, it got me to the point where I was giving up just about everything in my life to try to make this relationship work because I had just so many things fail, so many things go horrible, so many things just end up tragic that I devoted all of my energy to trying to make this relationship work. And to no fault of either of us, it was not destined to be, and it took a long time to accept that. It really did. And in the meantime, everything kind of fell by the wayside. I stopped doing podcasts with my friends. I stopped even watching movies. I stopped, listening to music like I used to. I stopped reading comics and novels like I used to. Pretty much everything ended up being weeded out of my life so that there was only room for that relationship. And it fucked everything up. It made me a bad friend. It made me a bad son. It made me a bad dad in a lot of ways, because I was putting so much of my focus on this thing that already wasn't working out. But because of my history with this woman, because of how much I do genuinely love her, I was trying my best to make it work at the cost of everything else. More recently, if everything else that I've listed in the video wasn't shit enough, it turns out that my dad ended up having a stroke, my older brother died, and my mom was diagnosed with what we thought or was told at first was stage 4 colon cancer. And we were told she probably only had 9 months to live. Turns out, thankfully, that is not the case. It's more like a stage 3 situation, and she very much can be treated and hopefully will have several more years of happy life ahead of her. But it's been a thing to wrap the head around, and putting everything in perspective and looking at all of it in hindsight, I wasted a lot of time doing this shit that I genuinely love, shit that brings me comfort outside of anything else going on in my life. I, was just focused on stuff that wasn't productive at all. Stuff that was taking away from my time with my kid, taking away from time with my mom, taking away from time with my dad, with my friends, with you guys, No matter how bad all of this has gotten, I find myself looking back at the stuff that we've done on YouTube and the memories that we've made and the friends that we made along the way, and just wanting to do more of that because I fucking love these hobbies. I love watching movies. I love talking about movies. And I realized that we're never going to be famous for doing that. We're probably never even going to get paid for this shit. If I could get a 6-pack in a P.O. box, I would feel like a rich man. But that aside, this stuff is truly some of the most fulfilling shit that I've ever done. I love recommending movies to people. I love recommending music to people. I love recommending video games and everything else in between. I just love encouraging my friends, which includes you fine folks watching this out there in YouTube land. I just love encouraging my friends to check out cool shit. It makes me feel good. I think it makes you guys feel good. We all like finding rad shit and diving into it at somebody else's recommendation. And that's what my aim with doing YouTube and social media has always been about. So I do want to extend the heartfelt apology to, Brandon, to Cody, my Schlockaholics co-hosts. They had problems of their own this last year, Nobody's life is easy. And more often than not, it will remind you of that. But whereas their breaks that they needed to take would have lasted a week or two, mine ended up lasting several months because every time I got things going good in this relationship, it would break down again. Her common tactic of punishing me for everything that she was upset about was to break up with me and cut off all contact. And the final straw with that came when she flipped out and did that on account of me taking an extra shift at work to earn more money to pay for a convention that we're actually supposed to be going to this weekend. So I'm going to be going with my kid instead and my cousin Lance, and we're going to shoot a bunch of stuff up there. We're going to hit a death metal show the following night, and it's going to be fucking glorious. And this is really what I should have went back to doing a long time ago, which is just taking care of my family, taking care of my friends, and making dope YouTube content. And that's where we're going to go with this. You know, maybe my destiny isn't living happily ever after with the woman of my dreams, because she was the woman of my dreams. I say that with no hesitation, even though this ended horribly. Sometimes the woman of your dreams, isn't the woman you're meant to end up with. Maybe there's a B-movie queen out there for me yet. Time will tell. But what I do know is I've got a lot of B-movie friends. I've got a lot of video game friends. I've got a lot of heavy metal fucking friends. And we're going to start doing some cool stuff with this. I'm going to make up for all this lost time to you guys. We're going to be running discussions every week on both channels. We're going to be doing the Retro Cult video log over on my channel, Retro Cult Home Video. So subscribe to that if you're not subscribed already. We're going to be running the Schlockaholics episodes every other Saturday on the Schlockaholics channel, as well as Scream Time in the meantime. We're going to be bringing that back and launching it as a regular thing every Saturday that we're not doing a Schlockaholics episode. So you got both those shows to look forward to over there, in addition to us running Schlock Talk episodes when we have like a discussion topic we want to cover pertaining to B movies or like a franchise that we want to go over. Outside of that, I don't know, man. I'm going to start trying to run a lot of like off-air social calls so that you guys and all my friends on Facebook and everybody can get together and just shoot the shit outside of a broadcast, context, and just come closer together as friends, develop banter, maybe encourage some of you guys that aren't down to do a podcast to hop on and do something like that with us. We're going to be creating a Discord that is a cross-platform or cross-channel Discord. It's going to be the Retro Cult / Schlockaholics Discord, and people can get up in there and do all types of fun stuff with us. Once a month, we're going to be running a watch party. And, outside of that, I'm just going to be doing, like I said, helping my mom with her cancer treatments, helping my dad with his rehab from his stroke, helping my kid to have fun being a fucking teenager, taking her to lots of metal shows, lots of conventions, lots of street markets. We've got Metaphysical Market coming up this weekend as well. We're going to probably pop over to that for a little bit on the side of the convention. The convention that we're attending is TagCon, which is a tabletop / board gaming convention. Pretty much, trading cards, D&D, traditional board games, indie games, all that stuff. So we're going to be shooting some event coverage for that, which we'll probably be presenting to you guys next Wednesday in our first, well, technically our second, but our first official Retro Cult video log live stream. And hopefully you guys are stoked on that stuff, man. I guess the lesson here is that, sometimes you just got to admit when you fucked up. And I definitely fucked up. I focused on this relationship and let everything kind of fall by the wayside. And now, honestly, I'm going to be lucky if half of you guys that I fucking tagged on this are even going to want to fuck with me anymore. I really hope that you do, because there's lots of cool memories we can make in the future. And I've certainly learned my lesson when it comes to this stuff. I had years ago, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's because of my kid. Maybe it's just because I was sad and lonely. But I ended up like throwing way too much of myself into a relationship that wasn't giving anything back. All it was giving back was negativity and heartache. And that's not even her fault. I don't want anybody that knows specifically who this involved going and fucking with her at all. Just leave her alone, But she's got her own problems and her own reasons for this not working out. And I'm not going to hold any of that against her. I'm not going to be bitter in my heart about it. We said our piece to each other as we were ending the whole thing. And some of that's pretty regrettable. But the fact of the matter is, it was just not the right time in our life. Sometimes that's what you have to accept about relationships as well. Maybe it's not that they were bad. Maybe it's not that the people that you were involved in them with was bad. maybe they just didn't happen at the right time of your life, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I fully believe that, you know, had we got together years earlier, things probably would have turned out differently. But if we'd got together years earlier, I might not know some of you guys. You know, things might not have went the way they did to set me up to have the support system that I have, which is all of these friends, which is the ability to branch out and get creative and get passionate about these things that I love with people that are equally passionate about them. So, you know, to anybody that I've ever done podcasts with, to anybody that I've ever, you know, reached out to do podcasts with that was excited about it, but then it all of a sudden just disappeared and I never said anything else for like months on end, I apologize. Going forward, no matter what happens, I have learned that no matter how fucking horrible the world gets, no matter how terrible life is taking a dump on me, I still want to do this shit, you know, with every fiber of my being. Like, even at the worst moments in all of this, I was like, you know what would really make me happy is just, you know, fucking talking about some shitty B movie with my friends, you know, getting online and discussing a video game with someone, listening to music, doing a review of an album or something like that. So that's what we're going to be, you know, soldiering forward with here. I wish her nothing but the best of luck. You know, I hope everybody else that has been waiting for this to come back will give me another chance. You know, I'm not saying I deserve one, but I will work every moment that I can to earn it and to earn the privilege of doing these shows with you guys again. And, you know, I'm going to be getting back in the fold with everything. I'm going to be buying those B movies. I'm going to be purchasing those band shirts. I'm going to be, you know, buying video games and trying to get my thoughts on them out to you guys and just doing all the shit that me and my kid love and that me and my friends vibe with. And we'll just see where it goes from there. We don't really have anything like monumental planned as a kickoff show. We're just going to slide back into the routine and see where it takes us. So hopefully this wasn't just a bunch of nonsense. I just felt the need to kind of put this out there to clear the air a little bit, to, you know, wipe the slate clean so that we can start this the right way with you guys knowing fully what has been going on and me being able to confidently move forward knowing that this shit's behind me. There's other crap in the future that's going to be unpleasant. You know, my parents are old. They're not going to be around forever. My kid's growing up. She's probably going to go her own way at some point. And, you know, that's not forever either. I mean, she'll always be my daughter and we'll always be tight, but I'm sure she's going to go off and live her own life. But you know, one thing that's going to be forever? This shit. You know, the memories that we make right here. So hopefully you guys all dropping off in the viewership at the end here isn't an indicator of how serious people are taking this, because I'm dead fucking serious about it. I'm down to like pave a path here towards just a better future and a path towards happiness with this shit and you guys. So thanks for watching. I know this isn't much, but it's something, again, to kind of, you know, cleanse the palate, wipe the slate clean, get us on the track forward to the shit that we need to be doing, which is just making memories, talking about rad stuff. So here's to that. Cheers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here real soon.